Hey guys, Grandpa John coming at you another Diablo 4 video. All right, on this video, we're gonna do a kind of a very deep dive into the best way to go ahead and get rid of a bunch of inventory. So as you can see here, we have a crap load of legendaries not picked up. We have almost every stash tab full. I'm gonna explain to you the best way to kind of manage your inventory, because we all know stash tabs are a problem, right? Like, notice we have 5 stash tabs on this account, and yet everything's full. We have items in the inventory on the right hand side with a crap ton of malignants. There's no reason to be holding on to these guys, and I'm going to explain to you why. Also, those of you who maybe burst in and go, nope, you need to be doing this anyways, I feel like you're probably wrong. I'm going to help you out here. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and that way it kind of helps you save your own inventory space. You're not stressing out as much as everyone else. So stay tuned. Hopefully you guys enjoy this video. All right, so as you can see here, we do have account logged in. This is actually our good friend Kaylin's account. So she has been running with us since basically day one of launch. We're all around the same area between 80 to 100, and honestly the 100 just hit 100 within the last few days. So we're looking pretty good. We're running pretty good as a pack. Kaylin and I kind of do a lot of casual grinding. Now, I wouldn't say unfortunately, but she represents a lot of the super casual, not as a knowledgeable gamer as a lot of other people out there, which kind of works out in our favor for making YouTube content. Now, she's a very, she listens, she takes advice well, she plays good. However, when it comes to her own decision making on what to keep, what not to keep, she struggles and she hems and haws. No different than anyone else out there, right? Like, I know a lot of people out there are going to probably listen to this and go, well, okay, I had the same problem. So the point of this is I want to go ahead and show you, we're going to go through every item piece here and explain why we're going to keep it, why we're going to get rid of it, how we're going to manage it, what we're going to do with our extracts, how are we going to turn this 5 stash tabs into something more manageable. Because I feel like a lot of people out there are really struggling with, okay, I only have 5 stash tabs, John, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Now, I do understand some of you are making a lot of alt characters, and this is also ties into it somewhat, but at the same time, like, no, like, here is a good foolproof way to move forward that makes sense for 90% of the people out there. So first things first, let's go ahead and let's see. Okay, so equipment, let's just fill up all the equipment here. Let's just start with this very last tab, and we're just going to go through it and we're going to sort it through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sort it through here. I'm going to go to, first I'm going to go to the, I need to balance this out a little bit better. I need all the malignants out of here. So, and I'll explain that in just a second, because we're going to do God tier cleanup here. So basically what we're going to do here. One that's a sapphire that needs to be gone. Okay, cool. So there's that, those two, and then let's go ahead and let's empty, boom, malignants. We're gonna make malignants its own section of this video. And then let's go ahead and let's grab all of these. Fuck it, let's go. Okay. Super simple, beautiful, full inventory. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go over here and we're going to talk about what to do next. So this is going to apply for a lot of people out there who are like, you know what, John, I don't really know how to do this, how to go about this, right? So this will teach you yourself what you need to be doing. So what I do is I come over here to the blacksmith, okay? I hit the I button and I start going through items. Now, you are not going to want to salvage everything right away. So the key points here is what my rule of thumb is I salvage legendaries and I sell yellows. So what I like to do is I like to go through the legendaries first, get those knocked out, because whatever does not get salvaged means that you're gonna extract the Lego and then move to some sort of vendor to sell it. And the reason why I point that out is because depending on what area you're in, the layout will change. So that's my train of thought. So that way I know I'm kind of being efficient when I'm deciding how I'm going to salvage and or get rid of gear. All right, so let's go through this. So first things first, we are playing a bone necro or bone spear necro. So why am I pointing that out? Because certain aspects are going to pertain to this specific build. You do not need to keep one of every aspect. The reason I say that is because if you run enough dungeons, you will always come across them over and over and over again. There's no sense in cluttering up your inventory with a bunch of extra aspects that you probably won't use, or at least get only one of them in comparison. So first things first, let's look at these here. So one, this is item power 600. We are level 81 here, and we are, all of our gear is in the mid to high 700s. So this is an instant sell. Or instant salvage in this case. I'm not going to look at the yellows because I don't want to salvage them. I'm going to keep moving forward with my legendaries. I'm going to do this every single time. This is not even 600. That's 809, so this could potentially be good. But if you look at this here, right? So I am playing as a Bone Spear Necro on this particular account. You can see here that this new one has Shrine Buff for duration, which does not positively affect my build. Critical strike chance against injured enemies, which really, if this build is done correctly, you one-shot everything anyways, so that's a rip. And then 27% movement speed for 4 seconds after killing an elite. So killing an elite constitutes elites and bosses, but unfortunately if you kill the boss, you don't need the movement speed. If you kill an elite, chances are you're not going to make it to the next elite that quick. So this is a rip. So this entire part is just bad, and that's how you kind of judge it, right? So if we keep moving on here, if you say you go over to the next one, notice that this one says +1 to all rank corpse skills, damage reduction, blah blah blah. It's only 607 item power, so that's an instant rip. That's a too low of the breakpoint. This is 581, same deal, 690. We're nowhere near the bar park, but notice I'm skipping the yellows. I'm gonna go straight into the rest of the legendaries here, and the reason why I'm gonna do that is because I want to get rid of the ones I need. Now this one could be talked about. So this is 794 item power, which is pretty good. It's higher than the current Grasping Veins one that we have equipped. Notice that the darkness skill damage has a boost, 6.4% damage, which is nice. Essence cost reduction, which is also very nice, and it's a max roll, and 31% damage reduction while entered. Now we got to compare it to the next skill, because this says that it has, for example, +3 ranks to Avulsion passive. That passive alone for a Bone Spear Necro is massive. +6 strength, that's a rip, that's useless. But 6.2% cooldown reduction and 22.5% bone skill damage. Those are big numbers for upgrades compared to what we have here. So even though this could be potential, because you can see the item tower is greater, we're going to say nope and get rid of it. And that's 100% why. Now we do have Temerity Pants here. These are going to stay in here as a unique. We're going to keep those because honestly, a lot of these uniques that we're utilizing, you will probably want to keep one of each unique. If we keep moving on here, so we go into this one's way too low of item power. It's not going to make sense. Mother's Embrace, same thing. It's a unique. We'll go ahead and keep one of each unique, and that's where we'll go look at the rest of the count and see where we're at if we have more than one. So these are all under 800, and honestly, once you hit level about 60 to 70, if the item power isn't between 700 to 800, it's instant sell or salvage depending on what you're doing. And if you're at like, let's say 750 plus, you got to look at it. Okay. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to look at them all. Now notice this one here that we have selected. So the one on the left here, it says 768 item power. We're getting close to both, right? But notice what the difference is. So one, we have +3 ranks to Bone Spear, which is great on the right hand side. That's what you should have. That's a max roll. On the left hand side, you can see we missed one of them, but we do have attack speed on the left side, which is the augmented skill, lucky hit chance and lucky hit chances again, right? Chance to heal and lucky hit chance. Now if I look to the right, notice that I have strength, willpower, so we could replace strength on this particular item, and that could be the upgrade. So let's see. So one, we're looking at, we need life. Life is really massive on this particular build. This isn't going to give us any additional life. However, we could get more willpower, which what does willpower give us? Willpower gives us improves healing received, which is huge, increased overpower damage. So it's kind of useless on but it's increased resource generation by 13.1, so that's good. So willpower is effective on a Necro, at least for this build. So this means that we want to maybe keep this one because this could be potentially an upgrade, but this also means that we need to make sure we have the Edge Masters aspect here. So we're going to take this one and we're going to drop it down to the bottom right as well. So we're going to save it. So now we have all of our legendaries marked, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to come in here and we're going to go ahead and salvage all junk. all the legendaries. The reason why we salvage the legendaries and we sell the other ones is because we want to get these baleful fragments. These are huge to have on the account. Same with the abstruse sigils, and I think the cooling wards are also almost as rare. So all these items together only come from really managing and salvaging your legendaries. So you can see here, this bottom right, these are the 3 that we're going to keep, and now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go process the other ones. And what I like to do there is I like to see them in here, and then we'll look at them now and go through and see what makes the most sense here. If nothing looks reasonable or feasible, we go ahead and we just sell it all. Boom, and we sell all the yellows so that way we can get as much gold as possible. On this account we have 21 million because we've pretty much followed this practice the entire lifetime of this particular account. Now let's go ahead and let's go through here and let's pop these back in, and let's keep going through and really cleaning up the inventory. The reason why we're doing this is because at this point in the game, it doesn't matter what these legendary aspects are. I do understand some of you will say, well, yeah, it does, John, because you want to make sure you have all these aspects for progressing. You're not wrong as far as for wanting to progress in the game. That's great and all. However, you can't sit there and rely on older aspects that are no longer viable, we'll call it, because there are too many tiers below. You never want to take that aspect that you grab and imprint it. And that's why we're kind of going through and doing this, is because you also notice that when we look at the aspects, we're going to look to see what level of aspect are we dealing with. If we're dealing with a high tier run or section of it, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use that high tier. If we're using a lower tier, then we're going to go ahead and digress it and use the lower tier. So now we're over here by the blacksmith. This is all legendary, so we're going to salvage everything here. So now we'll go through it. Okay, so one, we have a 780 item power. That's great because we're already +5 here. So this means this is technically being upgraded. So let's look at it. So we have thorns, not useful on a necro build. Critical strike against injured enemies. That's not bad. 8.8% damage. That's pretty good. It's almost max. That's a good one. 3.4 dexterity. That's a rip for a necro. You don't need dex at all. So now we have thorns and dex as useless on here. So at that point you say, nope, get rid of it. Go ahead and mark it as trash. Keep moving on. Doesn't pass 700. This is 790. This is a massive upgrade, right? This is an instant, gotta take it. Not necessarily. Pump the brakes. Let's look at it. So what we currently have here is we have a couple of different rings. This one right here looks like to be the worst one. So we have physical damage, which is useless for our build. 7.8% lucky hit chance, not terrible. Critical strike damage with bone skills. We primarily only use bone skills, so that could be good. And resource regen. So this ring alone is pretty good, and we can actually roll one stat completely to get an upgrade. If we look at this item that we currently could equip, we have skeletal mages inherit 6.6%. We don't use mages, we don't use any summons, so that would be the modifier to get changed. Plus 8% vulnerable damage. That vulnerable damage is nice. It's a mid roll, but it's good. Critical strike damage, that's always a good one to have. Damage to affected by shadow damage over time. This is a double rip. So both of those two, both the skeletal mages and the shadow damage, are both horrible to have on a piece of gear because you can only replace one. Sell it. Don't think about it. Just sell it. Moving on. Osseous Gale Ring. Okay, one, this legendary is not needed on my build. For two, let's look at it. It's 795. We have overpowered damage, not prominent on a necro. Damage over time, also not prominent on a necro. Instantly, as soon as you hit 2, get it out of there. Necklace, 680. Nope, doesn't make the cut. 766, that's workable. Notice maximum minion life, that's useless. And skeletal mages, that's 2 skills that do not apply to my build. Instant rip, get rid of them. Clean out your inventory. Your weapon is huge. Make sure you have the right weapon. That's not it for me. You want to make sure you have a one-handed scythe or a one-handed sword if you just want damage, but I would say go with scythe so that way you can keep your health up at all times. This ring could be potential. However, both 2 summons. It's a rip. Okay. Primal Gauntlets. Now this is an upgrade, right? It's 808, so it's got to be better. But if you look at it, it does have some nice things, but you really got to look into what makes the biggest difference. So if we look at the left-hand side, we have lucky hit chance, we have chance to heal, we have 3 bone spear, and we have 15% attack. The attack is pretty decent, but we rolled it. If we look at what we could change it with, it's 23% damage to injured enemies, not terrible. Critical strike chance, that's huge. Attack speed, huge. Shadow damage over time. So really, this could be one of those where the bottom stat we roll, the rest we don't, and this gives us a higher armor value and overall higher level because we're going to level this up. So this could be great, and it's an edge master aspect, which is a aspect we keep on us at all times. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to just drop it down here. We're going to keep an eye on it. We may actually use this as an upgrade once we finish our sorting process. All right, so we have runic leggings of the deflecting barrier. Once again, this is not a legendary that we need for this build. Things to note on it though, it does have maximum life, which is huge, but it has 2 other stats that are useless for this build. Hardened pants, same deal. And as you notice here, it's pretty simple to go through and see, okay, this makes sense to look at, this doesn't. Right here, corpse explosion, huge, but notice none of their stats really make a whole lot of sense going from one piece to the other. So go ahead and get rid of that. Also did not match any of the aspects we needed for our build. Ring 705, it's under the threshold, so we just instant rip, instant gone. Unfortunately for this particular necro build, we don't care what helms are an option, they're always a rip unless they're the unique. So it's a very simple get rid of it or extract it for the aspect portion of things. All right, as we move forward, same thing, helm, useless. Start looking at this one, it's under the 700 mark, so it's just an instant rip, and we just keep moving forward. At least 750 or above is what we're looking for. This does not have any of the stats that we really look for, so we just keep salvaging away. There's no harm in getting rid of things that you cannot use, because chances are you'll hold on to more than what you can actually even utilize. All right, so this is a pretty good one to compare. So we have critical strike chance, we have +3 to bone spear, which is good. We have the lucky hit chance to restore life and a primary resource, which is also helpful. And we have skeletal warriors inherit thorns. So this is actually technically an upgrade if you were to consider it. And even though it's a legendary that's not the right aspect, we can imprint the correct aspect on it. So this is actually going to go ahead and become a possibility. So we're going to stick it in the bottom right and keep moving forward on the progression. So on this one we have none of that's good. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Moving on, we have this one here. This is going to be heal, stats up. Intelligence is very nice. However, this doesn't make sense because we're going to lose attack speed and bone spear points. It's under 700. Instant rip. This is an 808 item, so this could be good, but it's unfortunately it's not. It's pants, but it doesn't have any of the right stats that I really need and or utilize. Now, disobedience. This is an aspect that I need for this character, so this is a backup, so we're going to automatically save it. So let's look at the next one below it, so that way I know where to cut this off. +3 to blood mist is useless, and drop rate potions is also useless, so you definitely don't want to keep that as a potential upgrade. All right, moving on, we have 788 on deflecting barrier. This is not an aspect that this build needs, so go ahead and sell it. So after all of these, we're only going to keep 3 of them, and we're going to salvage them because these are the legendaries. It makes the most sense to just go ahead and salvage them to get all the resources back that you need. Now we have 3 aspects. We have 3 different items here. Now these are possible upgrades. So this is upgrade, possible upgrade. So let's go ahead and compare these two. This one makes the best sense because it only has 1 aspect that we need to replace. So let's go ahead and mark that one trash because of that process of elimination. And this is a extract it. So let's go ahead and let's go extract, and then we will go grab more aspects and more legendaries to kind of go through to get potentially more aspects. Let's get that sorted. And boom, extract. And we want disobedience. Perfect. Notice that we have blues here, we have whites here. Those are going to probably need to get rid of. But if we move back here, now let's go back to our inventory and we'll grab more legendaries to go through. The point of this is to give you as much information as possible to help yourself do this on your own terms instead of needing to rely on somebody or slowing down the process for someone else. So that's one of those where this was a thoughtful upgrade. Turns out it's not going to be an upgrade, so we're going to mark that one trash. All right, let's keep moving forward and get the rest of these Legos here. Do notice that we only have 2 gems in this kit, because that's all that matters is the ruby gems and emerald gems. This is for every class out there, so definitely make sure you're not holding on to all the other ones. It's going to be a waste of your space. Notice that we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab all these legendaries. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let's go back to the salvage or blacksmith so we can salvage potentially. This is very straightforward. This is the easiest way to go ahead and condense your space. I'm literally trying to go through this as easily as possible so that way everyone out there can benefit from making sure that they do this process the same. So this is an instant rip. We know this because we have this other candidate, which is better overall in general compared to this one here. So it's definitely notable. If we move forward, we have these disobedience. This is another aspect that is good to have for this build. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take it and we're going to shove it over here. But we may not take it all the way. We may go ahead and let it die on the vein now, but who knows? We'll have to see what happens. This one doesn't have movement speed. That's a must-have. You want to have movement speed on your boots. And it's got 2 other aspects that don't work, so that doesn't make sense to go ahead and change only one and leave you in a bad predicament. So this one's too low. That's not an aspect that works. Aspect of might is very good to have on hand. However, these pants, even though on paper they're just not, they're under 700, so it doesn't matter. Loops retribution, this is 800 plus ring. You would think this would be amazing. However, all the stats on there, substats don't make any sense. It's not worth anyone's time to go ahead and grab that one. Same deal with this one here. Ultimate skill damage, essence cost reduction. That's great, but it's under 700, so it means it's at the break point it's just too low, so it's not going to really scale high enough when you upgrade it fully. This doesn't have 2 of the same skills that make sense for this particular build, so it's an instant rip. It's just those little things like that, guys. Like, you have to literally think, okay, do the stats synergize? If they don't synergize, then don't keep it. Instantly get rid of it. Dump it. Get rid of it. This has movement speed, this has damage, bone skill damage, and rank 1 of Tides of Blood passives. The only thing that this does not have correct on this is the Evolution passive, and we could actually get that by replacing the +1 rank to Tides of Blood passive. So this is actually a keep. We're going to want to keep this one, and the sad part is this is also an aspect that we want to keep as well. But this one's really going to make a big difference as far as our build's concerned and progressing. So let's go ahead and swap that out. We're gonna put it down here because this is a keep. This is actually technically an upgrade. All right, moving on. Wrong stats on all of that. Not one that we need for aspects. Moving forward, this is too low. Too low. Not terrible, but still a little too low. Wrong stats on over 2 of them. It's actually not terrible, to be honest, but it doesn't have any HP, and that's a real problem for this particular build, because damage over time would have to be the stat to be gone, and we have skeletal mages. So yeah, that's 2 stats that don't synergize, so it's instant rip. Moving forward, pretty easy. As soon as you see 2 stats that do not work for your build, abandon ship, do not press go, do not collect $200, because it just doesn't make sense to waste your resources like that when you're looking at min-maxing gear. As soon as it does not have 2 stats that synergize, instantly get rid of the thing. So weapon, I'm going to use scythes only on this particular build because the player that's playing this definitely has to use a scythe. They cannot do straight pure damage, unfortunately. They just don't have that cohesiveness, which is totally okay and understandable, but it just doesn't make sense. This unfortunately does not have all the stats that we need, so we're going to go ahead and rip it. If it's not a clear and line upgrade, then it's not going to be worth our time. Now this one is pretty decent. The only thing is we would have to change the +2 blank of ranks of blight to bone spear, and then the rest of it's not bad, but the same things applies to the other skills. So it just doesn't make sense to go ahead and save that. Go ahead and get rid of it. Do not take and keep almost good enough gear. Never makes sense. It never makes sense to keep almost good enough. All right, boom, boom, boom. Those are all trash. Let's go ahead and salvage them. Okay, so now what do we do? Now we have a ring or an amulet. It's an upgrade. Okay, then we need grasping veins for. We have a gloves, which are an upgrade that we also need an aspect for. And we also have our pants. That's an upgrade that we need an aspect for. And even though sorry, not an upgrade. This is actually the salvage for the modifier. Just kidding. It's so that we could put the correct modifier on our pants. So let's just go ahead and let's go salvage this one. This is a salvage, or not salvage, sorry, extract. So let's go extract that real quick. And this is the same process I want you guys to apply at home. This is 100% why we're recording this all live, because I want you guys to see the exact thought process that goes into this. I know it can be a little boring here and there, but I want you guys to know so that way you have the best possible chance for success. Okay, and then let's go ahead and what is this one? That Mother's Embrace. We'll go ahead and keep that. We'll dump it in there. And we will grab other pieces of gear. Now, still notice though, guys, I'm not doing any actual upgrades to the character because I don't want to waste resources. So this allows me to grab only legendary items and sort through them to not waste my resources and or aspects. And we've almost got everything sorted. Obviously, Legos are or uniques are gonna stay in one spot. Go ahead and kind of condense those a little bit. I think that was all the Lego or uniques. This one too. Yep. See, and that's how, notice that we're condensing stuff, right? And now I'm going to go through and I'm going to keep going. We're full here. We've almost condensed over 2/3 of the inventory fairly quickly. I mean, this has taken us 27 minutes, and that's with me explaining almost every single piece that I'm utilizing and changing. So that tells me that you at home won't have to do necessarily the same thing, and it'll go a lot quicker for you after watching this guide. So basic attack here. Once again, these are super simple. Just go ahead and process them as is. Also, this one is going to be a rip for this particular build, even though it has a lot of great things on it. Same thing, this one's maximum life, but it's got 2 stats for minions. Can't utilize it, so it's instant rip. Under 750, rip. 777, that could be good potentially, but then look at the damage. All the modifiers here are all specifications, so that's why it's negative, and so negative impact. Critical strike damage, great. Resource regen, great. Critical strike chance, amazing. Critical strike damage over time, that would be the modifier that come off of this, so this could potentially be good. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna keep it. So we're gonna put it down here. This is a potential. So let's go ahead and find the one next to it, so that way we can kind of separate these, so I don't have to make this call again. This is an instant rip. It does not make sense with the rest of the stats. 2-handed swords. It's automatically a rip unless the aspect's good. But notice the theme. I'm only sticking to what makes sense for this particular build. I'm not keeping anything else, and the reason why is because it just does not make sense with our current resources and our current limitations on what we can have equipped and what we can't have equipped. So definitely keep that in mind as well. This is a salvage, or sorry, extract for the aspect. So let's go ahead and look at everything surrounding it. That's trash, and this is also trash, even though it's 807 items. Go. That's got 2 things that are not modifiable. So same deal, trash. It's a shield, not the right aspect, doesn't matter. Fast blood bland, doesn't matter, it's under the limit. It's right at the limit, but it's not going to be anything that's going to be super advantageous. It doesn't make sense. 792, that could be good, but the dagger means 2-handed weapons, which changes the way my current build would work. This is useless as well. We're going to skip the yellow because you sell the yellows, you salvage the rest of these. Now, an argument could be made that you could potentially salvage these as well. That's not necessarily a negative argument to be making at all. It's definitely worth it to sell them because you would get a crap ton of gold. But if you follow the general premise of you salvage your legendaries and you sell your yellows, you'll get a lot more gold. The balance will be much, much better for you in the long run. Damage over time, critical strike chance, resource gen. That's great. That's an upgrade. That is totally an upgrade. Yeah, that's an upgrade. So let's save. So these 4 are save. So salvage. Boom. And at this point, I think we have enough to where the next bout of this, we're going to sell them all because it only makes sense to sell at this point. We have enough resources as it is. Okay, and sell. Boom. Now we got to make the tough calls. So these are, once again, these are going to be upgrades for the account. And this one is actually a Oculist, where we're going to go ahead and extract the extract. So let's go ahead and let's go grab it, and that way that eliminates one more space, and then we'll go back to the inventory and go ahead and grab the rest. We're almost done with this entire account cleanse, and it's this type of process and thinking that you guys gotta do to be successful in Diablo 4. Okay. All right. A lot of legendaries left, but there's bits and pieces here, so let's go ahead and grab them. I think these are all Legos, right? No, nope, Temerity Pants. Let's say no uniques. We did, we had uniques. Okay. Let's go get rid of these. We'll have one more bout of it, and so should be all she wrote. But this, notice that this has eliminated a lot of my inventory space, guys. So definitely keep that in mind. Like, there's a reason why we do this. It's to eliminate space. Don't hoard your resources. These games only last for 3 months at a time before everything resets. There's no sense in hoarding for a game that you're never going to be able to do everything on that you want to do by hoarding, because it's not going to do any good. You're never going to go and play standard league. You're always going to play seasonal, and that's just how these games are designed. So why bother staying and making sure resources are set in certain aspects when at the end of the day you're never going to use it again? Hmm. 800. See, that could be good, but no life there, and we have golems and fortify. We don't use fortify on our builds at all, so it's just not worth keeping. It could be a good one. It looked great on paper. However, realistically, it just doesn't make sense to keep it. All right, let's go grab the last of these, and then that'll be it for this gear cleansing, guys. And hopefully this helps you guys out there make your own decisions, because notice that we've been keeping to a theme here. The only pieces of gear that we keep and save as far as aspects are concerned is those that apply to our build, or a build that we've decided that we would like to play. Generally speaking, we don't have any build that we are particularly going for at this point other than the Necro Bone Spear. So why would we bother risking what we have to go ahead and make that more of a thing later on, right? We'll also do a video where we talk about how to keep these, what makes sense for cleaning out your malignants, because honestly, do not need nor want to keep every single malignant. There is a process for wanting to clear those out, but notice that here, as we condense these tabs, we're looking pretty good as far as resources are and space is concerned. So right here, boom, we'll dump these two, and then we can go ahead and grab that, dump these, and we'll grab the malignants as well, because why not? See, and this is how we make this super simple. But notice that we're not going to keep a crap ton of stuff. We're going to condense it. We're going to put it on separate pages, so that way it's easier to sort out. Right now it's just not easy to sort out the minutia. Boom, here we go. Okay, so let's sort these out here. This is going to be trash, doesn't meet the item requirement, no iron requirement. This one does meet the requirements, but does not have the right substats. This one is same deal. Same deal under the cuff. It's a helm, doesn't help us. A shield doesn't help us. Blood choker. Gloves. These are the exact correct aspects. We're going to take those for sure. but we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the rest of them. So this is a Oculus, the rest is going to be a cell. This is a pretty easy one to navigate through. Now at this point, we have went ahead and went through all of them. So what this means is now we can go ahead and we can start imprinting, okay? And this is where it makes a difference. What the heck did I just do? I want to keep that, boom, and this is trash, and I want to sell. Thank you. Let's go over here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to extract this one because we want the disobedience or grasping veins. It's a ancestral. We definitely want to take that. Now what we want to do from here is we want to look at our build guide and we want to determine, okay, what makes sense for this character? Like, is what makes the best sense for this character, and making sure that they are properly equipped. So first and foremost, let's look at, we have a ring here that makes sense. Which one do we want to swap out? Well, one, this ring has a orange socket. So that means we ideally want to swap out this particular one, right? Because it's going to be a 1-for-1 on the malignants. So notice that this one has 2 effects that are useless for this build, so there's no sense in rerunning it. So we can go ahead and we can easily say this needs to become Ring of Serration at any point in time. So we'll go ahead and pop it in here. Now we got to figure out, do we have a Ring of Serration aspect? If we do not have it, we have the Sacred, which is not terrible. We have another Sacred, but notice that we have a 37% and a 38%, so that's actually better. We will take that, but look, we're also looking at item power here because we don't want to make sure we take the weakest one because it's going to negatively affect us, right? So this is also a 505 item, so this should be gone. You should not even keep this aspect. So we're going to keep this ring. We're going to go ahead and take this, boom, boom, boom. Cool. At this point, let's go ahead and equip the ring. That way this one comes unequipped. All right, next we have is the gloves. So we definitely want to take the gloves, and these are Edgemaster gloves that we're going to be utilizing. So you need to take a look at, okay, what aspects do I have? Do I have something that's better than what the Codex offers me? If you don't, at that point, you just take the Codex. In this case, we have a 16% chance. This is actually going to be better than the Codex. So we're going to take this one here. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to take this, and this is now going to get equipped, and this is an upgrade for us because overall in general it's good. And we're also going to head and roll these in the Oculus as well. So now we have both these changed out, and now we have the amulets. The amulet needs to become Grasping Veins, and we just went ahead and extracted that, right? So we already have a nice fresh ancestral that's a decent level, and we know it's decent, so we go ahead and we keep this. Notice that we aren't cluttering this with anything else that does not pertain to our build. So let's grab that, boom. Now before we do anything else, we're gonna go ahead and get these all equipped. And now we're gonna run. Okay, so now we're gonna run them through the Oculus. And the reason why we're gonna do that now is because we wanna make sure we get the right slots every time. So in this case, on this particular one, we need to change out the passive here. And this needs to become the Avulsion passive. So we're gonna go ahead and roll it. And notice we're doing this immediately. We're not waiting on any of this. Take all this and get it done before 100% before you go to progress. Don't just upgrade and say, okay, this is good to go, and call it good. It's not going to end well for you, not at all. Man, this is going to be a rip on this one. We want Avulsion passive or Curse passive. That works too. Apparently the game just hates us tonight. This is the last one I feel like doing. Corpse skills, we'll take that one. Okay, I don't want to waste any more gold. So that one is kind of a rip, unfortunately. What was the other one that we put on this ring? Yeah, this ring. And this one was actually really, really good other than damage over time. So let's see what we can get here. We do have a few Fiend Rows. In this case, we're going to be looking for Max Life. Max Life is almost a gotta have it on a lot of these particular builds because it just doesn't make sense not to have it. We have 5 mil left. We'll do one more roll. No bueno. We'll kind of call it good there. I don't want to use up the rest of this gold for this piece because we still have more. We have this what is this gauntlet here. Bone Spear, that's great. Critical chance, great. Skeletal Warriors Inherit, that's the one that we want to definitely change out. And then we want to grab, what is this? This is a glove, so we probably want to grab Bone Spear. I think we want to grab Bone Spear, right? Because we don't have Bone Spear on this. Oh, we do have Bone Spear. So we got Bone Spear. So let's grab Lucky Hit Chance, Bone Spear, Critical Strike chance, and primary resource regen. I think we have primary resource regen, critical strike chance, skeleton warriors is the change, and really that could be more critical strike chance. Honestly, it's not too limited here, which is great. So let's go ahead and enchant one more time. Attack speed, that's perfect. We'll take that. We'll roll it one more just to see what we can get. Nope, that's a lower roll. Don't take that. Nope. We're not even at a mill yet, so that's why we're gonna keep running it. Critical strike, oh, that's good, but attack speed's gonna be a little bit better. It's gonna feel overall better. It's gonna feel quicker. That's the biggest chance. Nope. Okay, that's it. That's all the rolls we can do there. Now we go upgrade them. But notice this is all part of the process, especially for if you are trying to decide, okay, should I be upgrading or not upgrading? This is exactly what you're going to be doing yourself when you're trying to move forward, to be honest. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to salvage these because it's all 100% salvage. Boom, boom, boom. Now you look at your malignants and you go, okay, I have to have the walking corpse one. Perfect. Crap, I need to have XYZ. In this case, we're gonna need a barber malignant, and we'll go ahead and grab that. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this video now, because basically what we've done is we have, if I come back over here, we have cleaned out the inventory, so we're she's no longer having to hoard her legendaries. So we got one additional legendary here. The rest of these are all going to be uniques and malignants, and honestly most of these are going to get cleansed as well. We'll probably do a video later on about just cleansing these in general, but yeah, for the most part she's good to go. So hopefully this helps you guys with your own cleanses and how to not hoard as many resources, and if it did, please make sure to like and subscribe. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you did, like and subscribe. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.